we give this a good 2 or 3 years, we can make it to the NBA. It did
Okay.
not go as planned, but what happened was I
On this episode of Inside the League, I have a super special, amazing guest, and they're special not just 'cause they're families, also because they're amazing. Andre Ingram, thanks, Dre, for joining me.
yeah, I'm glad to be here. I appreciate you, Joy.
No problem. Now, we happen to be related, but I must admit, I actually have never asked you about your experience in ball and how you got to where you got. So, tell the audience kind of a little bit about you and how you became the amazing rock star of an athlete that you are.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm kind of upset as family we ain't did this sooner, but I'm glad to be here now. I am from Richmond, Virginia, the East End area. I grew up at Holland Springs High School watching my older brother play. So your older cousin, I did everything he did, whether it was soccer, whether it was basketball. I didn't care. I just followed him like a pesky little brothers do. And so once I tried basketball, though, all the other things kind of like went out the window. When I got to high school, I really got to, kind of break free and make my own name. My junior year was my breakout year. I averaged a lot of points. And then my senior year, our team was really good. So that kind of set off everything. We won a state championship for our high school in Holland Springs. It was like the first one since like 1960. So that was big.
Wow.
Got a scholarship to go to American University in DC, which I didn't even know that was a real university. I thought it was a joke. When they were they said we are American University, our school colors are red, white, and blue, and our mascot's an eagle. I was like, this is not a real school. You guys are playing. So, long story short, I got to play at American for 4 years. It went really well. I enjoyed it very much. And then after that, 4 years of playing basketball there, I went to the G League. It's called the G League now. It used to be called the D League, but it's the NBA minor leagues, and I spent a lot of time there. Most people spend about 2 to 3 years in the G League. I spent 10 before I got a call up to the NBA. Got to play with the Lakers. So anybody who's seen me before or the gray hair, it was probably from that Laker game. And it's been such a wonderful career for me that I haven't always appreciated. But I look back fondly on it now, and I still play today. So I'm still ticking.
Super amazing. So I knew you played for the Lakers in the G League, but I didn't know I didn't know how amazing you really were because I just always thought you played ball and you were good. And then B, I didn't know how much of an opportunity it was for you to play in that league and then for you to play as long as you did. So talk a little bit about when you got the call or invitation to get into the G League. You're playing in college. How did that actually work for you?
Yeah, so after my senior year in college, I knew immediately what I wanted to do. I wasn't on like NBA draft boards to get drafted in the NBA,
Okay.
but I did know that the NBA had a minor league, and not many people knew about it then. In fact, most people that were in my position, if you weren't going to the NBA and the NBA draft, most of
Yeah.
my position went overseas because you get a lot more money to play in Europe and Turkey and China and all these different places. Um,
Got it.
I didn't want that at all. I wanted to play in the NBA, so I went to the NBA minor leagues, and I said to myself, we give this a good 2 or 3 years, we can make it to the NBA. It did
Okay.
not go as planned, but what happened was I entered into, just like the NBA has a draft, G League has a draft. So
Oh, cool.
like a G League camp. It was about 200 guys. They split us up into 20 different teams, 10 guys on each team. And I played very well and ended up getting drafted in the seventh round of the G League draft to a team in Utah. We were called the Utah Flash. So that was my first professional experience being in Utah. And I'd never even been to the West Coast at that point. So that was like a whole new experience
Wow.
there, too. Yeah.
How did you figure out that there was even a draft or a way to get to the minor leagues? Because it wasn't necessarily on your radar in high school. So how'd you even put that together?
Yeah. So I had to start thinking the closer I got to graduating, and I'm like, well, I don't see my name on any NBA draft boards. Like, what's the next step? Like, what do I do? And that's when I had to do some searching, and I found out about this league. And actually, one of my mentors, one of my basketball mentors, Corey Alexander, was playing his career, NBA career was ending, and so he had actually played in the NBA league, and so that's how I kind of knew about it. I had a friend or a mentor that was playing in it, and so I was always interested in what was going on with him, and
Right.
yeah, so just by following him, I was able to find out that this league does exist. So the next step was, well, how do I get into this? What do we do? And the next step was finding an agent. I asked my college coach for a favor, honestly, and to see if he knew any of his old players who had an agent that was looking for players that was going to continue playing professionally. So I ended up getting an agent. Ended up finding out that the G League has this big, summer camp for guys who want to be in the G League and want to play get one step closer to the NBA. And so that's how I entered into it. But I had to find out about the league because, yeah, like you said, the G League's not in anybody's radar at that.
Right.
It's all about the NBA. So, yeah.
So, do you need an agent to get into the G League? Do they just help with negotiations? Can you get in without an agent?
Excellent question. So at that time, you really benefited from having an agent. But now
Okay.
the G League has grown so much that every single team, and they're about 30 now. When I first entered, it's about 16 teams. Now it's about 30 teams. And each of those teams has a local tryout that you just pay, sign a form, you go right to the local tryout, and you can actually
Okay.
try out to be a part of the training camp roster. So that's how it works. So they'll have when I was going, it was a big 200-person camp where everybody came to. Now it's 30 different local team tryouts, depending on the city that that team is in. And you just have to pay to get in there. Now, an agent can help you out. If you have an agent, they'll probably pay that fee for you. If you don't have an agent, it is fine. You can take yourself, go in there. And I will say, a lot of people know about my story, but some of the more amazing stories, for NBA players are guys who paid their own money, went to a local tryout, ended up making the G League team, and ended up being in the NBA. Like that's a
Wow.
crazy story. Yeah.
So I definitely don't want to glance over your story because you're super humble and you always have been and you're always low key. So I'm gonna need you to put the gas on
Yeah.
yourself. I know which is normally not what you do.
Yeah.
But talk about because you said, "Oh, I score a lot of points," and I think you putting water on it. Talk about while in the G League, kind of your resume in terms of what you did on the court and like how competitive the G League actually is.
Yeah, G League's very competitive. So a lot of the guys that people see when they watch March Madness and college basketball, a lot of those guys who are the best like college players, a lot of seniors you see, they're not necessarily
Mhm.
the guys that make it to the NBA. The NBA tends to take younger players, like the freshman and sophomore, who you may not know from March Madness, but the NBA knows them just because they drafting off potential. They're drafting young guys. They're drafting really athletic guys. So not
Mm.
necessarily the best of the college players or the team leaders, the seniors. Very few seniors get drafted in the NBA. So when you go to the G League, you're playing against, the most notable guys that you've seen in college be very successful in college. So that's the type of competition. You're playing against guys that played at Duke and played at North Carolina and played at, Stanford, UCLA. Like all of those guys, if they're not in the NBA, they're in the G League. So that's the kind of competition
Wow.
playing against. And what I really wanted to see for myself when I first got in the G League, I was like, well, how do I measure up against these guys? Because I'm in training camp and I'm like, man, that dude went to Georgia Tech. Man, that dude went to Duke. Man, I remember seeing this guy. And I just want to know if I can hang with those guys because I went to a mid major school who didn't get to play those schools. We just saw them on TV all the time.
Mhm.
And you just assume that these guys are just, so much greater, so much better. But I was pleased to find out that my skill level was right there with them, and that if not better. So that was kind of like my first experience. My first couple years, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine. I can definitely handle this type of talent. I belong in this league. I'm going to keep going after it." So that's kind of what I felt and how I felt the first couple years. But yeah, it's very stiff competition. It's the names really that people know that end up in the G League. Is very famous guys, and like I said, more upperclassmen. So these
Mhm.
guys not only were good in college, but they know how to play. Upperclassmen truly know how to play basketball. Some of the younger guys, the guys that get drafted in the NBA, they don't immediately start playing. We know about LeBron and all the big names, But you
Right.
out that 16th, 17th guy on the bench that doesn't play, who's a very young guy, probably just 1 year out of college, who really hasn't learned how to play yet. He just has this really great potential.
So I have two questions there.
Mm,
First, it's always my understanding that no team, no league kind of keeps you on if you're trash, right? So, what did you do to be able to play for so long for a team?
yeah, that's an excellent question because the other hard thing about the G League is you have to make the team every year. So you hear,
What?
yeah, you hear about the NBA where this guy signs a 5 year contract, 3 year contract, all that. There are no multi-year contracts for the G League. You have to make the team every year. Everybody gets invited to training camp, and they cut about, I don't know, if you got 20 guys coming to camp, they're going to cut half of you. 10 guys stay only. So to answer your question, what I had to do, knowing that I had to make the team every year, I had to make sure my off seasons were planned carefully. We talked about it before we got on the air. Like, I'm just coming from a workout. When I finish this, I'm going to another one. It's on court work, it's weight room work, it's conditioning work, it's keeping your body really together. It's what are you putting into your body? Because when you get to the professional level, you get to control all those things. It's not like college where you have an assistant coach or a grad assistant coming and checking on you. Hey, you going to class? Hey, what are you eating? Hey, what are you doing? You got to be No, it's none of that in the pros. In the pros, you have to control your schedule. So
Right.
guys who are disciplined, and I will say I'm, pretty disciplined. So guys who are disciplined usually excel in preparing themselves for another season. And that's for me what I've always enjoyed. I've enjoyed preparing myself for another season, preparing myself for another training camp to make the team. So that's how I did it. It was just in the love of preparation to, play again, and not wanting whoever was incoming to take my spot. So that was it too.
Okay, so I'm gonna get better about enjoying the process. That hasn't you didn't pass that to me yet. I'm
Yeah,
working on it. It's a work in progress. I want it. I'm like, no, now,
yeah,
today. I don't want to wait for it. So I'm gonna get better.
yeah.
So what during the season? What was your routine like in order to be able to like have the season happen? Make sure trials are going well. Make sure you're doing what you need to do after the game, and then go back and be ready for the next game.
Yeah, it's very routine. Even as you're describing, how do you do this? It's routine. It's kind of the same things over and over again. People have like this like glamorous idea of what it's like to prepare, before a season and even during a season. They think it's like this is the greatest thing ever. You playing ball for a living. Well, really, it's a like a boring routine, eat the same thing at the same time every day type thing. That's just what it is.
Got it.
Now, when you get to the game, yeah, that's the fun part because the game is kind of like the unpredictable part of it. I tell people all the time when you're practicing and training, like that's a controlled situation. You can control what you do. The game is anything but that. But in order to be successful in the game, you have to make sure you're controlling everything. Are you getting enough sleep? Are you eating breakfast, not just coming straight to the gym? Are taking your pregame naps? Are you eating the right foods before the game? All that stuff, it's like the same every day. Like, so my wife gets bored and when she sees me eating the same things, doing the same thing. Like, it's a boring thing. It's not a
Right.
glamorous like thing to prepare for in season or off season. But you do it for that end result that you get in the game. And you do it long enough and see it be successful long enough, you tend to stick with it. So it's hard though. It's hard.
So it sounds like that preparation that starts in college, kind of that routine of getting up at this time, going to this practice, going to this class, and going back to practice. That actually it doesn't stop just because you leave that arena. It actually gets more intense, and you have to be able to manage it on your own. Getting up, going, eating the thing, preparing, making sure you have what you need to have. So, talk a little bit about once you're in the G League and you get called up. What is that experience like? How does it actually work?
Yeah. So the way call ups work is, and the great thing about the G League, most minor league systems, whatever farm team you're with. So I started out in Utah. Our farm team was the Jazz, and then when I got to LA, our farm team was the Lakers.
Mhm.
In most minor league situations in other sports, that's the only team that can call you up, whoever you're affiliated with. But in the G League, it can be any team in the NBA. You can be playing for the Lakers G League team and get called up by the Miami Heat. Like, so that's just how it works. So that makes it excellent for the players. Like, they're all 30 teams in the NBA can, try and call you up and claim you. The way it works is you just do what you're supposed to do. You play ball, and if you play well, there are scouts at every single G League game, every single one. Most times, every single practice. So there's somebody watching you all the time. It may be your own team, and your team sees you the most, but other teams see you as well. They have scouts all around the job. Like, a scout's job in the NBA. One of my former G League coaches ended up being a scout. He was in the air. I think he said like 200 days out of the year. He's just in. I couldn't wrap my head around it. I said, y'all travel how much? So that's how much these guys come to see all these different teams, all these different players. So as long as you're playing well, doing what you're supposed to do, somebody will see it. It's not like you
Mhm.
do something extra or special, and to make yourself known in some way. In fact, sometimes that works against you, because they can tell when people are just playing for themselves, or when people are trying to do the best they can within the framework of a team, and those are the guys that get called up. The other
Got it.
is, yeah, the last thing I'd say about getting called up with your farm team, you would think it's, whoever scores the most points, that's the person they need to call up. But really, your farm team is looking for, is he running our system the way we like? Is he, maybe they're not looking for a scorer, maybe they're looking for a rebounder. In fact, most times teams aren't looking for scoring because they already have LeBron and a KD and a Steph. They already have somebody that shoots the ball. They need somebody
Right.
that can get them open. They need somebody that can get the rebound. They need somebody who can stop the other player on the other team. So it's really what a team is looking for. So that's why I say, it's really about doing your job. What is your G League coach telling you to do? Because the G League coach is always in communication with the farm team. So he knows what they're looking for. The question is, will you listen to what he say, or will you just try to go out and average 50 points like most people do?
Right. So how do you figure out the difference between like what your natural skill is versus what's the role that they need at the time? How do you marry those two things?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And the answer is, you would hope that the coach marries that. You would hope that your coach, if you're a shooter, you would hope your coach puts you in a position to shoot and not rebound. You would hope, if you're a defender, that your coach is not looking for you to score 30 points. Like, you would hope that whatever, team has you, they obviously know who you are as well. I will say, in today's game, scouting, not just from the NBA level, but from college level, G League level, like, people know what you can do. People know what your strength is. And what happens is, that's the first thing they ask you to do normally. And then as they see you play, they see, wait, you can do this too. Let's work on this. So they try to add something to your game. Now, that's something that all players should want to do. If a coach
Mhm.
something in you that he says, hey, I know you're great at this, but you can do this too. And if you can do both of these things, that's going to look a whole lot better for you to be called up. So that's kind of the thing right there. So you want to do the things you do well, the thing that got you on the team in the first place, because there's something that put you on the team. Like I said, you got to make the team first. So you've made the team for a reason. Now that you're on the team, whatever that coach is telling you, you may not agree with it, you may not like it, but he's telling you it for a reason. The coach has, no need of you staying for their G League team. It is to elevate you, to get you called up, and for the team to play better. Because when the team wins, everybody looks better. When the team loses, doesn't matter how great your stats are. It just doesn't look as good as a team that's winning and everybody playing their role, doing their part.
Got it. So the part that I remember fondly when you got called up was that they let you, to me, you led the team huddle before the game started,
Mm.
and then they kind of gave you the air cover to shoot,
Yeah.
which I thought was really interesting because it's the Lakers and they had shooters.
Yeah.
So to your point, I feel like they saw something extra in you that wasn't just, hey, we have these other people that can play this role. Like, he's really good. Despite the gray hair, you're a young man. The gray hair, you'd be pushing me over the line. 'Cause I'm older than you, but we are young. Don't take us over. Don't
I,
take us
I
over.
won't. I won't.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, so you get to the actual Lakers and you're in that huddle at the time, what does that feel like for you? How is that process? You wrapping your head around it? Like what happens?
I'm telling you, like I tell people all the time when I talk about this, but those guys, the actual team, they welcomed me in like I'd been playing with them all year. And some of
Oh,
them
that's
didn't know because some of those guys that played that game, they would be up and down between the G League and NBA. So some of those guys I knew. The rest of them who I hadn't met before, you wouldn't be able to tell. It was like they kind of knew it was a special moment for me. I didn't see it like that. I kind of saw it like, man, this is cool. I got to call up. I can't wait to be a part of the game. I can't wait to run up and down the floor and set a screen and take a three. And like, I wasn't like people always ask me, how'd you feel when that first shot went in? I wasn't thinking about the first shot. I was thinking about just being a part of the game. Like I didn't want to be like a show. I wanted to be in the game, like, and just like regular player like everybody else. They did not want me to be a regular player like everybody else. They said,
yeah.
this is your time. I, they went as far as to say all the teammates like every time you touch it, shoot it. Of course, I didn't do that, but I did, like shoot it when my opportunity came, which was really cool because they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to welcome you in. They didn't have to give you all the shots. Like guys have contracts on the line. It would help them to do more scoring so they can tell their agent, hey, look what we got, or look what our stats are this year. We should get this contract. They didn't care about any of that. They just said, give him the ball, give him the ball, give him the ball. I was able to make the shot, make a shot, make a shot. But that wasn't my, thought going in. My thought was just being a part of the game. And all that time I'd spent in the G League, those 10 years, like helped me prepare for that. Like I learned all those 10 years. It was a long time, but you don't stay the same player through those 10 years. So by the time I got to that point, I wasn't nervous in the game. I was fine. I kind of felt like everything I had done was meant to prepare me for this. So we're good to go. Let's get in the game. Let's play the game. And if it goes great, then great. And it went better than great. So
Yeah.
yeah, guys kind of like wanted that for me. So like you said, they were looking for me to do all of that and wanted me to do all of that.
So I know again, you are humble, and so thanking the G League and all the team players. But just a little bit, talk about what was your average in scoring in the G League, and then how many points did you score that night when you got called up?
Yep. So that night of the call up, I believe it was a team high, but I had 19 points. It was four threes. I love when my threes go in, especially when shoot them at a certain percentage. So I lead the G League in all time threes made. But the more important thing for me is the percentage I shoot with them. So when I first came into the G League, it was more important to shoot it well than to just shoot it a bunch.
Right.
Flip. Today's game, it's about shoot it a bunch and not necessarily worry about your percentage. But me, my selfish personal self, I want to shoot a good percentage as I'm, taking 3-point attempts. So I
Hmm.
had 19 points. That was the leading score of the game for the Lakers. It was like the highest debut for a rookie. Because I was a 32-year-old rookie, gray hair, 32-year-old rookie. We are young. But but it was like the highest, rookie debut for a Laker in like, like some like 30 something years, something like that. But yeah, it was great. And then in the G League, like I said, all time leader in 3-pointers made, games played, somewhere on the all time scoring list. So I've been able to do a lot, and I am proud of every single one of it. At one point, I wasn't so proud. At one point, like during that 10-year stretch when you're not getting called up, you're like, man, I done stayed in this league way too long. I don't care about any record I get. I shouldn't be in here that long. But at the end of it, it came to appreciation. Like, nah, you know what? It's hard to make a team every year. It's hard
Yeah.
to prepare yourself every single season and make the team and do well. So I'm actually proud of what I've done. So yeah, those are very proud moments. And yeah, hoping for more. We ain't done.
Yes. So look, you're so used to being humble, and it is your. I don't think it's some people you can tell they're humble is like, oh, the cameras are on, be humble, but
Yeah.
it has been your nature since birth, since I've known you.
Yeah.
But I do think that's outstanding to say. No, I do have the most points held in the league. I do have one of the highest percentages. I do have the highest number scored by any rookie. Like that. That's unheard of, right? That is That's not happening every
Yeah.
day. So for you to be able to do that and still play well today, is something that you not only should be proud of, but other athletes that want to aspire to do what you have done and more, be able to look to you as a resource that they can come to and say, okay, he's not just one of those I'm talking on Instagram and I haven't played the game before. He's not one of those I played for 2 years and got out and now I'm gonna charge y'all, $10,000 to come read this ebook. Like he
Yeah,
has the actual skill, he has the actual record to tell you how to get your numbers where you want them to be. So talk a little bit about where athletes, parents of athletes can find you if they want to reach out to you and be a resource and for you to be one of their trainers.
that's exactly right. That is what I do now. I do it every off season. I love training kids, and like you said, help them to do what I did. Because we don't do what we do just for ourselves. We gotta pass it to the next generation. And when I'm teaching the kids that I teach today, I tell them when it's your turn, you're gonna have to teach the next generation. Like that's just how it works. So I am definitely proud of things I've been able to do, and now to give that to some of the youth today. Here's how you find me. So I'm training kids every single day of the week, Monday through Friday. I train over at Cool Spring Rec Center. It is in Hanover. You mentioned Instagram. That was funny. I'm glad you mentioned it because you will not find me on Instagram. I'm going to tell you exactly how to find me. Any Instagram you see of me, any Twitter you see of me, that is not me. When I had that big debut in the Laker game, a lot of stuff popped up that wasn't me, and those things are still out there working to get it removed. I am trying. But here's the real way to reach me. Email is a good thing. I'm gonna give you my basketball training email for anybody who's looking to get their son or daughter instruction, correct way to play the game, the disciplines and things that I've used all my life, all that I've been taught to help me to become an NBA player and a professional for 14 years. I'm giving it all away. Best way to find me, my email, AMI, that's the initials of my first name, Andre, my wife's first name, Mary Lee, and our last name, Ingram. So that's AMI and then B ball training. So AMI B ball training at gmail.com. And you reach out to me if you got a son or daughter who's interested in taking their game really seriously to the next level, wanting to make their middle school team, wanting to make their high school team, wanting to get involved and just start playing, period. You're in elementary school. I have from first grade to 12th grade. I train college people. I train in groups. I train individual. Um, any way you want to train, any way you want to learn, I do those things. So AMI B-ball training at gmail.com. Please reach out to me. I have a weekly group email that I send out. It's got hundreds of people on it that I've grown to know over the years and people I've been training for multiple years. You reach out to me, let me know you're interested in training. I can get you straight. And we'll get it done as soon as you guys reach out to me. But that's the best way to find me. If email's not your thing, just come to the gym. You'll see me on evenings, Monday through Friday at Cool Spring Rec Center at Hanover. It's a wonderful facility, wonderful gym if you haven't been there. And if the email doesn't work for you, you just come to that gym, find me there, talk with me there. I'm always there in the morning doing my own training, in the evening training other kids. So I'm easy to find, but that email is the best way to find me. And our list and group of people that we train grows every day, and would love to have some more.
Dre, thank you so much for coming on. This has been like a super amazing experience for me because, again, I've never asked you these questions before. And I feel like now I have to start using your name for more cool points. Like, I don't use you as much, but I feel like I need to start telling people I know you so that I get more cool points with athletes. Thank you so much for being on today. You're not only a great athlete, I know you as a great father, a great husband, and a stand up guy. So, thank you most importantly for that. Wish you well in everything that you do.
Cuz I appreciate it. And you don't need cool points when you're already cool, so you're good.
I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it.
Ah,
All right, thanks.